Welcome to another episode of I Am AAPC. Today we have Jenipher Swanson with us. Jenipher, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. Jenipher, I saw your story on the AAPC Facebook page or Facebook group and wanted to learn more about your story. Sounds like an awesome story. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found yourself on this path of medical coding?
Well, I grew up in a little small town in Illinois and was a vet technician for almost 18 years and then just decided that I didn't want to continue doing that. So got on the track of doing the medical coding field instead.
What led you to that? Do you have friends who work in this field, or do you know people who work in
I
the
have honestly no idea. I just one day was laying in bed and thought, I'm going to look up medical coding and see what it means and what they actually do. And so it just started a big long journey of getting going on it.
Oh, wow. So you're looking for a career change, just had a flash of inspiration one night. Maybe this medical coding thing is something I should look into. You look into that. What does researching medical coding, or what did it look like for you? Was it a web search and just looking
Um,
online?
some of it was web search. I joined a lot of Facebook pages before I decided to do anything. Um, Seeing what people were saying about it as a career, and then also videos and stuff of who to watch on like YouTube and things like that. So I started out watching that sort of stuff. Then I got an anatomy book and read it twice through the summer, waiting to be able to start classes and stuff like that, and started studying up on things like that, and then just moved on from there.
All right. And tell us a little bit about your medical coding education. Where did you study through? Was it self-study? Tell us a little bit about that.
I did the AAPC program with a private instructor, Lynn, and so I got everything together. There was a little bit of a hiccup in getting signed up and everything on time, but I got signed up and all that and was able to start October 6th of 2023.
Okay.
And then after I signed up, found out that the test was going to change January 1st, and I did not want to take the electronic test. So that put me in a time crunch that I then needed to be done by December 16th so I could test that day.
Okay. So all of this is very new to you,
Yes.
even now.
Yes. Extremely new.
When I keep going back to when you decided to step into medical coding or consider it. How long before you started studying, or before you registered for the AAPC class, did you have that flash of inspiration?
It took a little while. I would say
Okay.
probably at least 6 months between actually deciding that I was going to do it and then getting started. And then I decided, well, I don't want to do it in the summer. I'm busy with my horse and stuff. And so I was going to wait until the fall so that I could spend more time doing it and not take away time from my outdoor activities. So I waited until after September to get started. So it'd be better weather-wise to start
Okay.
and everything.
But it's fair to say that this this path really took place early 2023, from
Yeah.
inception, from thought to taking your course to passing your exam.
I watch probably several hours a week of just YouTube videos on what it was and that sort of thing before I ever decided that that's what I officially wanted to do. So I would watch videos almost every day on like my lunch break at work or when I got home from work, trying to find just different things. Made sure I researched it well to see if it was something that I would want to do before investing the money and the time into actually doing it.
Okay, so during this time, you're still working as in the veterinary field.
No, I got certified in December and then I applied to a local hospital at the very beginning of March. And it was the first job that I applied to. I wanted to start in local hospital, even though remote is obviously what a lot of people want to do, and that might be a possibility at some point with this hospital, but I wanted to start local. And so I started right out at the local hospital that was hiring for somebody. And then I figured they hired somebody because it was already April and I hadn't heard anything from them. And then April 8th, they called and asked me to interview. And so the very first job that I applied to, I got.
Well, I want to jump more into that because there's a lot to unpack there because you are an inspiration to
Mhm.
many people watching, no doubt. But when you signed up for your AAPC course, you get all of the code books, and at this point, it sounds like you had a pretty good understanding of what it would be like. So you knew what the code books were and things. But was there any sense of feeling overwhelmed when you stepped into the course for the first time?
Yeah, especially actually reading the books and doing the work is different than just watching YouTube videos. So especially when you hit that point of the cardiology chapter, you're like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing. I'm like, I give up. I was telling my instructor, I'm just gonna go ride my horse today. I don't know what's going on. I'm out. And I just took off. But um it does eventually click. It does take time, and obviously in the beginning you don't know what you're doing, and I still probably don't in all reality, being so new to everything. But it does take time to figure it out, and it does the chapters start to mesh and everything, and you feel like, well, I don't even understand the ICD-10 CM book. Why would I move on to CPT? But again, it all comes together as you keep doing it more and more.
And you talked about the infamous chapter 10. I think is that cardiology?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
I don't remember now off the top of my
Okay.
head.
But it's pretty tough. There are a few sections that
Yeah,
were pretty tough, I'm sure.
yeah.
What advice would you give to a new student who is trying to navigate just like you did?
Um, just keep plugging along in it. It does, like I said, it does eventually start to make sense. And even though you feel like you don't have any idea what's going on, eventually you hit that moment of, oh, yeah, I finally get it. And just keep moving along. I felt like my hardest chapters was actually the skin chapter, and probably because it's the first chapter that you actually start in CPT. And then ICD-10, I was very confused on how to look up a term, period. I just was like, everything I go to says C condition. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I can just keep C condition. And I was getting so frustrated with the C condition. And then it finally occurred to me that, like, it's not, don't look at liver, look at the failure. And that will get you to the liver failure.
Okay. And the exam, you mentioned you were one of the last to take it
Mhm.
in person at a local chapter.
Yes.
Do you only take the exam one time?
Yes.
Okay. And what prepared you to be so successful on the exam that first try?
I think part of it was not waiting too long in between taking the course and taking the test.
Okay.
I think a lot of people wait so long thinking they're not ready and they're not ready, but having that information fresh in my mind was great. I actually did the whole course from start to finish and studied for the test in approximately 64 days. So having all of that, which I know that's not normal, but I know that I was trying to get that deadline. Also, if the textbook says something specific about a code, I was writing that next to the codes. A lot of that information did seem to be on my test, that extra information in the textbook. And then also just the day before, I went to a hotel, sat and relaxed, just had a nice relaxing evening. It wasn't about studying. It wasn't about looking at my books or anything, just chilling and waiting for the test time.
Yeah. No sense in cramming at that point, right?
Yeah, if I didn't know it by then, I wasn't going to know it. So I just sat there and relaxed in my hotel, which my test was an hour and a half away. So I got the hotel because of that too. I just wanted to make sure with it being winter, I wasn't sure how weather would be and stuff. And I definitely was not going to miss the test.
Okay. And did you have an approach to taking the exam as far as how to handle hard questions, easy questions, or did you just go through one by one?
I did the case studies first. I felt like then I would know that afterwards, all of my time could easily be spent on the others. My study exams, I only got to take the practice exams one time a piece, but I felt like they did help in being able to practice for the test and kind of knowing what things would be like on the test and that sort of thing. But that was all I did that was different. And then everything else, I just went question by question and I didn't really skip around in mine, but
Okay. Yeah, everybody has their own
yeah.
philosophy of how to handle it, and what you did obviously worked. You mentioned practice exams. Was there a point when taking the practice exams that you knew that you were ready for the real exam?
I didn't get to take the practice exams until approximately it was the week of the actual exam,
Oh,
because things were so cramped in there with getting everything done. And so I didn't get to practice with them a lot or anything. It probably would have helped me a little bit more to know where I stood and everything to be able to take them sooner in my studying. But in the end, I guess it all worked.
okay. And would you mind sharing what was your score on the practice exam? What would you recommend that someone score on their practice exam before taking the real exam?
On my practice exams, I think I did like around 85 or 80 or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. So there's a sense of competency. That could have gone either way, Jennifer. If you
Mhm.
didn't do well a week on your practice
Yeah,
exams a week before,
yeah,
you could have,
really worry you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're successful there, and that's kind of good for viewers to know that, if you're in the 80 range,
Mhm.
that might be a good marker of you're prepared for the real
Yeah.
exam. So
I felt one of my practice, I don't know which one it was, but I felt like one of my practice exams was harder than the actual exam, and then the other two were very similar.
that's funny you say that because Marie Jimenez, who is our director or vice president of product, and she has her hands in the development of all of those. She and I talk a lot about that. Are the practice exams harder than the real exam? And
Hmm.
she always insists no, that maybe it's just a new experience for an examinee. But we hear
Yeah.
different things from examinees. So just find success with those, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be a good determination that you're ready. Well, so you passed your exam. This was
Hmm.
December of 2023. You passed your exam after is it 4 months of coursework
4 months
or
of course we work, yeah, in 64 days.
so? Okay. Uh, and that's a lot.
It was a lot. It actually ended up, I was studying before work, during lunch break, after work, on my days off. It was so much, it put me in the hospital.
Oh no.
But yeah, I got intracranial pressure and everything from it.
Oh no. Oh no. How would you have handled it differently, or would you have? It sounds like you are a determined person to be focused on a goal like this. Would you have done anything differently to maybe make it a little bit easier on yourself?
Probably not, because even though I ended up with the struggle of being in the hospital from it, but um, I found that when I was at work and stuff, I couldn't wait to get home to do it. On my lunch break, I couldn't wait to leave work so that I could go study in the car and stuff like that. And so it was just something that became very passionate about being able to do it and everything. So um, I don't think I would change. I mean, it drove me to get it done and everything and not try to draw it out or anything like that. And not second guess what I was doing and stuff like that to just move on.
So there was a pure enjoyment of what you're learning. That's what I take
Mhm.
from this. That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
great.
downtime at work, I had the ICD guidelines on my phone, so downtime at work, I read those and
Wow. So at this point, you're still not working um, in healthcare. Is
I
it,
work I work
or
at a
you
hospital as a coder.
at that point while you were taking
Oh, no,
the
at that
course?
point I was not. I was still in the veterinary medicine.
Okay, okay. So you're working the vet job,
Hmm.
burned out with the vet job, but all in 100% or more into medical coding,
Yes.
and you're seeing a light. Seeing a future path for you. So after you passed your exam, Jennifer, what was that job hunt like? Were you just putting in resumes or submitting resumes and applications to any place you could find?
Um, I started out with the two local hospitals and then um after that I just started looking on mostly Indeed. And of course most of those were online, which I got rejections from, but I think I only applied to approximately 25 to 35 jobs. And then that local hospital went ahead and picked me up.
Okay.
So
Did you have any relationship with anybody there
no.
prior? No. So what was that interview like? How do you feel like you set yourself apart from someone who may have had experience?
Um, I'm not sure. When they called to set up the interview, I actually had already taken a different job at another hospital to do patient access. So it kind of turned into a really fast interview process and everything to try to get everything done so that I didn't even start the first hospital and started the second hospital and everything. So everything went really fast. And while I was interviewing, they just asked a few questions about coding. And she's like, well, I would like to hire you now, but I have to talk to my manager about it. So then the next couple days they went ahead and offered it to me. So I'm not sure actually what I did to set myself apart from other coders.
Well, what advice would you give to a newly certified CPCA searching for their first position?
Um, I feel like I know everybody wants that remote, but I feel like trying your local doctor's offices and hospitals are probably going to be, in some cases, more likely to give you that first try. And even if you don't get that automatic remote position or anything, to still just try for it because it could turn into remote or it would get you possible experience to move on.
Yeah, we definitely see that it's not impossible to get a remote job, but it's more likely that you'll get a in-office job where you'll get that experience, and that could lead to the remote position after that.
Yeah.
Is that was that what you aspire to, Jennifer, to work remote?
Um, Maybe. I actually think I would prefer more of like a hybrid type situation where I can be in the office sometimes, but then at home, mostly. The current hospital did say that that's eventually going to be maybe a possibility. So
Okay.
hopefully that hybrid type situation will come about.
Yes. I'm curious, as a as you were a student or someone who was very curious about this field, who took the course. Now you're working in the field, all of this in such a short period of time. How is the work? Are you enjoying it, and are you as passionate about it as you were studying for the exam?
So far they have me doing labs, which is where I feel like most people start, and it can be a little slow, but I know I'll obviously get to move on and be able to do the other stuff, but um,
You enjoy it though?
yeah, I do.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Is there anything that maybe caught you by surprise that it's more like this and I thought it would be like that? Any shift of how it turned out than what you thought it would be?
I would say it is very different from taking the courses. Um, the coursework is a little bit different in that a lot of it is multiple choice and stuff like that. And obviously, when you get to the work field, it's not that at all. So there are some definite differences, but it's good.
Okay. And in your role, is there, do you collaborate with a team or with your manager much?
There's two other coders that are right there with me that I'm able to bounce any questions off of or discuss anything with, that they're very helpful.
Okay. And I want your honest opinion here, Jennifer. Even though the course is different, it's teaching you in a different way to prepare for a job that is a little bit different than how you were learning. Do you feel like that the course helped you enough to be a good coder?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Now that you've been working a few months as a coder, do you have any vision of possible paths? Because there's so many directions you can go in this role, in compliance, auditing. Do you have any thoughts of what might pique your interest down the road?
So far, no. I mean, right now it's just trying to figure out the whole coding to begin with, and I don't know if it will aspire to something else, but I've actually only been employed as a coder for 10 days. So
Wow.
yeah. So
Okay.
we'll see where it goes from here, but so
Oh,
far I'm content.
great. Well, awesome. So, Jennifer, as we wind down, what has filled that passion since you've left the course? Because you're all in on learning that. It sounds like you have horses. Are you?
Mhm.
Do they help you decompress after a long day of work?
Yeah, she definitely does. I wish I could spend more time with her, but working Monday through Friday is a little different to get used to. In the veterinary world, you have a day off in the week. So that part's a little different. But yeah, getting to spend time with her definitely helps decompress from everything.
Awesome. All right. Jennifer, thanks so much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And stick with me just for a minute. For those who are watching on YouTube, you can also listen to Jennifer tell her story on our podcast, the AAPC podcast. You can find it in your favorite podcast app. Jennifer, thanks so much for sharing your story. And I'm sure there are many coders out there who are beginning their journey and hope to be in this position that you are in now. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.